Good morning, wake and takers. How are we doing? It is Thursday, July 31st, but that is not all. It is a very special Thursday because there is football being played today. Yeah. Hall of Fame game, whatever. I don't care. It's football. It's the first football that we've seen outside of training camp videos of dudes in basketball shorts running around. I'm hype. I'm excited. And even better, it's the Detroit Lions playing tonight. So excited to see some of the younger guys out there. Excited to see guys like Tesla out there. And also, I mean, the Chargers got a ton of rookies that I've already seen. There's who knows how much they're actually going to put them out there, but Hampton, Trey Harris, we could see some of those guys get some run today. So an exciting day overall. It's back. It's happening. We are just inch by inch, step by step, day by day, getting closer to the season. And I mean, you can tell I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm ready. I'm just ready for the drafts. I'm ready for the setting the lineup, start sit decisions. I'm ready for it all. I'm excited. Welcome in. Sorry, kind of got a little sidetracked there, getting a little too excited, but we are back once again. I got a really special episode today. It is going to be my do not draft list. I got 3 guys for you. I got 3 guys that I am not touching at their ADP. I was looking at it even further into it last night, really trying to whittle down the list and be like guys that I just don't want at all. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. If you disagree with me, I would love to hear why. Let me know in the live chat. Hit me up on X. Leave a comment on the YouTube video. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'm always down to hear other sides of the argument. But if you do want to go ahead and let me know on X, you can follow me at @JOwens_FF. You can see it down at the bottom left there of the screen. And be sure that you're subscribed and following the Player Profiler Now page on both X and YouTube. Tons of content going out every single day. We got news, we got Dynasty, we got redrafts, we got best ball. So a little bit of everything for everyone. Make sure you're subscribed and following so you're getting every video, every bit of news, everybody's take, so that way you have the most amount of information to form your own opinions. But let's go ahead and jump right into the news of the show. Not too much today. Like I said, Tuesdays are going to be very news heavy due to the fact that from Thursday to Tuesday, there's a ton of news dropping. From Tuesday to Thursday, we didn't have too much. So just going to kind of catch up on that. We did have some breaking news this morning, probably about 45 minutes ago. Noah Fant is signing with the Cincinnati Bengals. Not a whole, nothing earth shattering here in Cincinnati. This doesn't really shake up what we thought of the top 3 guys of Chase, Higgins, and Brown. What it really does, though, is I feel like this is a straight up nuke to Mike Gesicki's value this year. I've been taking him late, especially in best ball, as a guy that we saw it last year where he had games. Burrow was vocally praising Gesicki and had him propped up and was targeting him quite a bit. He took over that role. He was there as the 3rd passing option. And with this now, I just feel like it's going to go back to a rotation. Even in Dynasty, both these guys, I don't feel great about their value. I think maybe we could see an uptick if Fant can go ahead and show that he's better than Gesicki or vice versa. But right now, as it stands, Gesicki is locked in Cincinnati for this year. Fant needs to prove it this year. And even Gesicki just signed a 3-year contract with them. So even long term, I don't really see Fant finding a way to work his way in. According to Spotrac, there is an out in 2026 of Mike Gesicki's contract, but it's still $4.5 million of dead cap on a tight end. So do they want to do that, or they just want to keep the guy around who wants to be there and just keep rotating and making sure that there's always a big slot tight end on the field? I got a feeling that's what we're going to see, and I really think that this just completely nukes Gesicki's value. Fant's value was already low. He didn't have a team, so I was hoping to see him go somewhere like Miami, where it's the unretired Darren Waller is his competition. I felt like that would have been a good fit for him, but as it stands, I think we could see if one of them can go ahead and take control of that big slot tight end role, we could see something. So keep an eye out on the waiver wire in season. But right now, not excited about either of these guys. And also in Dynasty, it doesn't really make me excited for a guy like Jermaine Burton. We've been seeing some positive news coming out of camp. I know it's completely different sectors of the field, but it's more target competition at the end of the day for and more snap competition. Like, we know that 2 receiver sets, it's Chase, it's Higgins, and now when they start mixing in more receivers, more slot guys, more guys on the field in receiver positions, there's just another body now that might push Burton further down the depth chart. So if you were stashing Burton hoping that something was going to happen this year, it doesn't seem like it. Once again, it looks like even if he gets the mental stuff figured out, that it might not be enough to get on the field this season once again. Moving on to some injury news. I missed this on Tuesday, but Treylon Burks, we know that he broke his collarbone, was expected to miss a good chunk of time, and he's going to be missing a lot more time because he was actually waived by the Tennessee Titans. Just an absolute flop fail of a draft pick, of just an asset here from the Tennessee Titans overall, trading A.J. Brown to avoid paying him to draft Treylon Burks, who turned out to be absolutely nothing. Obviously, it's not all Treylon's fault. He's been dealing with injuries nonstop, so you got to feel for the guy a little bit. But even when he was healthy, there just wasn't anything there to say that this was ever going to be a good replacement for A.J. Brown. So it sucks to see. It's unfortunate. I was hoping to see a little bit of a bounce back of Burks in like a complementary type role to Calvin Ridley. But now he's dealing with recovering from the collarbone, and he's going to have to find a new team and work his way into a depth chart. So completely another lost season here for Treylon Burks in 2025. I don't even know what to do with him in Dynasty. You can't get anything for him. There's literally nothing you can get for him. If you got an IR slot, stash him and see if he can find his way onto a team and be a 3 that can hopefully work his way into a 2 in a light receiving core. But other than that there's nothing much there. In terms of the Tennessee Titans, I think that this is kind of interesting because, I mean, Calvin Ridley, he's going to be pushing Drake London type, Amon-Ra St. Brown type target share. I think this year, I think he's going to be in the 27 to 30% range, just because what else do they have there in Tennessee? They have Calvin Ridley, a slew of rookies that we don't know, like not even like high draft capital rookies, like just a bunch of dudes. And then Chigakonkwo over at tight end. So I think that Ridley is just going to continue to dominate the target share there. He's going to put up just an amount of targets that you can't ignore in fantasy football, especially with where he is in terms of ADP. He's one of the safest picks that I can find. He might not have the big touchdown upside because who knows what this Titans offense is going to look like with a rookie quarterback and not a whole lot of weapons. So it'll be interesting to see what the ceiling is, but that floor at where he's going ADP wise, it's so safe that you take him there. He's locked in for me as like a guy that I'm targeting heavily, and then you can take bigger swings a couple rounds later, a round later at the wide receiver position to really find that ceiling guy, or find someone that might be in a little bit of an ambiguous wide receiver room, like a Rome Odunze type. And if Odunze steps in and is the big guy, you got Ridley there as depth. You could trade him off to someone who needs a safe floor. So I think he's just going to be a super safe fantasy player this year. And honestly, like I got no problem with it because the amount of targets, it's not like it's a 10 point per game type of floor. It's like a 12, 13, 14 per point fantasy points per game type floor that I mean, I love that. Moving right along. You could also take shots in the Titans. There's rookies to take shots on. Obviously, we know Xavier Restrepo, Alec Ayomanar are there. Ayomanar's kind of been my guy. There's DK is also there. So there's guys. There's opportunity for guys to step up. Really, if I'm taking shots, it's in best ball, and it's going to be like in Ayomanar. And I've also been very much interested in Chig, just because we've seen him pop even with other guys on the field. We've seen him have some spike week type games. He's got the athleticism. So he's someone that I'm interested in, again, more in best ball than I am in standard redraft leagues. but someone that I am looking out for if I am going with a late tight end approach. I don't have a problem taking a Chig and then just, if he doesn't start strong, just drop and churn. Some more news on the tight end front. Isaiah Likely of the Baltimore Ravens. He appears to have a fractured foot that he's actually going to get surgery on. He injured himself on, I think it was the Tuesday practice. He got injured. He had to be helped off the field limping. He was able to walk off, but it was a noticeable limp. But it is confirmed a fractured bone in his foot that he is getting surgery for. Timeline, the aggressive timeline is 6 weeks from now, which would put him ready about week 2 of the NFL season. And you got to imagine there's some ramp up time from there for him to get back into like a football shape for that, because I mean he's not going to be able to do anything for 6 weeks with a fracture in his foot. So there's going to be the ramp up time, obviously. So really, when are you going to see an impact from Isaiah Likely? I would guess like week 5, 6 at the earliest. But he was already someone that kind of creeped up too high for me at ADP. I have no problem just turning all that attention straight to Mark Andrews and saying, "Hey, you've been the dude." Everyone had this Isaiah Likely like fantasy of him taking over, but I still think it's Andrews. It's Andrews, and this just helps him because we were worried about the splits with Likely, about the target competition with Likely, but now Andrews is back to his role, and that's what it is, and it's a very good fantasy role. So a little bit of a dip in ADP for Andrews, but a boost to his role due to this injury. I think it's just a win-win for Andrews in terms of fantasy football. Let's see, what else do we got in terms of news? Another injury that we have is in Kansas City. Hollywood Brown suffered an ankle injury. This one we don't really have a ton of news on right now. We don't have a ton of news on the Hollywood Brown injury right now. So we're just going to keep our ears open, listening for anything, any updates, any type of timeline for return, severity to it. But for right now, they're just playing it a little bit safe. And I think that this just has the Xavier Worthy arrow pointing straight up. He's someone that I've been a little bit hesitant to jump on just because there was Hollywood back. Not that Hollywood scared me off, but it was like Hollywood's not a slouch. He's not a jag. He's someone who has potential, but is just constantly dealing with injury and consistency issues. And here we are once again. So I'm back in on Xavier Worthy. He's got a really good chance to just have a strong start with Rashee Rice being suspended, which we're still waiting to hear about if, when, how long that's going to be. And now Hollywood being injured. So it's really, it looks like we're going to start the season how we had it last year with Worthy just being the dude, and he performed well in that. So he's got a good chance to start strong, and he's the type of guy who can just maintain that throughout the year if Mahomes stays locked in on him, even with Rice coming back. Again, I'll go back to my dusty ass Travis Kelce take, but dude, just more targets keep falling off the board here in Kansas City. And that's how Kelce's going to continue to be Travis Kelce, is with a just monster amount of targets. So I'm back to that. But really, I think the story here is Xavier Worthy is just looking more and more as a safer pick. That was kind of my concern, was his ADP was going too high, where I didn't feel safety in his role in this offense. But if we keep having these things where people just keep falling off for chunks of time here, Worthy's the winner there. I did see also that he's in the concussion protocol, but there's no expectation that that's going to linger on into the season. That's pretty much going to be, they're expecting him back soon. So if that develops into something different where it is a concussion protocol that lingers weeks and weeks, then there's concern. But for right now, I'm loving Xavier Worthy once again. Saber, I see you in the chat. Thank you. Since week 1 last year, everyone has been infatuated with Likely for no reason. I mean, the reason was he blew up week 1. It was exciting. I was the one of the guys that jumped on that I think it was a Thursday night game that he blew up. It was was awesome. I completely punted tight end, and I was able to pick up Likely and ride that wave for a couple weeks. But yeah, no, it did fall off, and everyone just kind of seemed to hold on to that week 1 performance. Like, oh, he could do that every week, even though he showed us that he wasn't consistently doing that every week. So I think it was very much the ceiling chasing what if, but everyone loved, I mean, tight end's a wasteland. So if you get one big performance, you kind of want to hang on to it there. Last little bit of news that I have right now, and feel free to throw in the chat that if I missed anything that you want to talk about. But Marshawn Lloyd, the second running back right now in Green Bay, he went down with a non-contact injury, it looks like. We still need some more details on the severity, but it's not sounding too good out of Green Bay right now. He was one of my favorite handcuff backs to target in these deeper late drafts. As someone who, I mean, a running back like Josh Jacobs, who's getting just astronomical amount of touches, just playing the odds, like there's going to be weeks maybe that miss. And Saber, you're absolutely correct. That's exactly where I was going. It looks like it's going to be Emmanuel Wilson's season, at least as the handcuff. He's getting praise right now in camp, where LaFleur is confident in Wilson as that number 2 right now. We've been hoping and wishing for Marshawn Lloyd to stay healthy, but the dude has just been just the worst luck you've seen. Like, it's not even like football injuries every time. There's he's just been dealing with all sorts of things that are keeping him off the field, and it's really tough to see a guy that had a good profile, had a lot of promise coming in, and he just has not been able to see the field. So it looks like we're dealing with more of the same there, but Emmanuel Wilson is definitely a name to keep an eye on in terms of late drafts, in terms of waiver wire. Early in the season, if there is any news on a tweak, a twinge, anything on Josh Jacobs, go stash Emmanuel Wilson. He's not going to be a full bell cow type guy. I don't see that happening. I don't see the Packers using anyone as a bell cow outside of Josh Jacobs. So it's not going to be like a league winning type role, but I mean, it's a great role right there. Morning, Alex. How we doing? Good to see you in here. As a Ravens fan, not drafting Likely while Andrews is there. Exactly. There was the whole rumors about Likely being shipped, or not Likely, but Andrews being shipped off, and it was Likely's time to shine. The coaching staff was hyping up Likely. So I think that's kind of what fueled everything, was the fantasy wish casting of big athletic tight end replacing the dusty old tight end has lost a step. But Andrews never isn't making his money in the past couple seasons with like yak or big plays or anything. He's just been that consistent middle of the field target, red zone target. It's touchdowns for Andrews, and that's not going to change, especially with Likely missing time here. So Andrews, an interesting tight end target. That's all the news that I got for today. And we'll see more and more come out. And I mean, obviously after the Hall of Fame game, there's got to be some Chargers, Lions news that we're going to be seeing. So I just want to go ahead. Like I said, we're going to be jumping into my do not draft list. I take a look. I was taking a look at some mock drafts last night. I just kind of ran a couple of computer generated mock drafts to see where everyone was shaking out in terms of like sleeper rankings, Yahoo rankings, that type of thing. And I really was just picking out guys that I saw that just didn't look right to me. And I was going through and I did a lot of digging with PlayerProfiler's rankings, the data analysis tool, just to kind of see, is this just my gut? What is this? So we're going to jump into that. But first, the Podfather is going to talk to us about those PlayerProfiler rankings.
Now, people say, oh, there's so much free on PlayerProfiler. What's in the premium package? Well, it starts with the player rankings. We have the best process for ranking and projecting players, not just seasonal leagues, though. We're talking about tight end premium, specifically FFPC, best ball, specifically underdog, including their superflex rankings. And then we have IDP rankings, dynasty rankings, rookie rankings, Scott Fishbowl rankings, offensive line rankings by Dan Fornick, cornerback rankings throughout the season where you can see who's matched up with who. It's incredible. And think about who's contributed to our processes over time. Math majors, analytics powerhouses. Plus, you get the contributions from the real football guys. Billy Muzio, Dan Williamson, Bradley Stalder. That's why our rankings are the best. And if you want to upgrade and go all in, use promo code Underworld or your host promo code, and you get $25 off.
Yeah, absolutely. The draft kit, the rankings, like I said, I use that in my analysis when I'm making my own projections. I'm kind of making sure that I'm not going way too off the board with some of these. So it's nice to kind of have that as like a backboard to just check myself with and make sure that I'm within range of some of the smartest guys out there putting together the player profiler draft kit and the player profiler rankings. Alex, you made it just in time. Absolutely nice bar. I gotta tell you, my wife watched watched the stream and she's like, "What are you doing? You have a bar in your office and you just have a naked window there. Just move the bar." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's really smart." So we got the bar set up. It's beautiful. I wish the draft kit could be set up for your specific league settings. Hey, I mean, all we can do is email and pass that along, and maybe that's something we can go ahead and get there. Much better than a vacuum. Yeah. No. My wife was also like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? We got decor. We have an office set up for a reason. You got a vacuum in the back. So, but yeah, moving right along into the do not draft list. Gonna be started. I got a couple. Everyone that I'm bringing up here is within the top 5 rounds. So these are guys that are not just like a late round guy that like a 12th round pick, anyone in the double digits. These are all guys in the top 5 rounds that the math does not math for me in terms of where they're going. So I'm going to start off with who we saw on the thumbnail for this video, and that's going to be Sam Laporta. I get it. I'm a Lions fan. You would think, oh my gosh, what is he saying? Sam Laporta, but the ADP just doesn't make sense. Like we saw last year that he's not a focal point of this offense without an injury. We saw Jameson Williams take a huge step up, and right now we know the pecking order in terms of what we saw last year it's Amon-Ra St. Brown with his 27, 28, 29, however many targets he's going to get. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Jameson Williams was above Sam Laporta last year in target share, and then it was Laporta, and then Gibbs was honestly, in terms of a running back to tight end relationship, he's not too far behind. So I just don't see Laporta getting a meaningful target share like he did in his rookie year, where he was over 20% without an injury. And if you're telling me that I have to take the tight end 3 in the 5th round of a fantasy draft, and I have to hope for an injury for him to hit his ceiling, I cannot do that. It is purely an opportunity cost type argument for me here against Laporta. Love the guy as an NFL player. He's amazing for the Lions. He keeps the chains moving. He blocks. He does it all. He's one of those guys that I is 100% like I said, as a Lions fan, just a dude, a dog. Love him. But in terms of fantasy football, I am not touching him. I don't have him on a single best ball team. I'm not going to draft him in any of my redraft leagues unless he falls 2-3 rounds behind. I can't do it. Even last year, so we know the rookie year, he hit the 10 touchdowns, and that was a big reason why, but it was also the 100 targets. He was, like I said, he was at a 20% target share, over 100 targets, 10 touchdowns. That's what propped him up to such a huge rookie season. Last season, the touchdowns dropped from 10 to 7. Even if you include those 3 missing touchdowns from his rookie year to last year, he would be sitting at 12 fantasy points per game, which doesn't, like, he was tight end 8 in terms of fantasy points per game last season. That bumps him up to tight end 7. He's still not a top 3 tight end, which is what you're looking for in rounds, like anything in round 4, 5, 6. Like, you want a guy that can be one of the top 3 tight ends. And that's not Sam Laporta right now. There's too much value at the wide receiver and running back position for me to take a guy that averaged 10 points per game last season. I see some of you guys, Alex and Saber, you guys are putting out your suggestions for who you would take. You would say, wait for Kraft at tight end. Love that pick. Loveland as well, considering Ben Johnson can't stop praising him. I like any of the guys that are going multiple rounds behind them with the upside, like Tyler Warren, Loveland, Kraft, even give me Kyle Pitts in the 12th round right now. Like it's not about the player, it's about the opportunity cost. You can get, I talked about Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, and David Njoku all go 2 to 3 rounds later than Sam Laporta. So you can get a 5th round running back or wide receiver and still a guy that had the same fantasy points per game as Laporta did last season. That's a no-brainer for me. Even Dallas Goedert last season had about the same. He had 10 fantasy points per game. Laporta was at like 10.8. So 0.8 fantasy points per game less in Dallas Goedert, and Dallas Goedert is going 7 full rounds behind him. There's so many more options out there at tight end if you want a guy that's just going to give you 10 fantasy points per game. You don't have to take him in the 5th round. That's just, it blows my mind. I see some more talk from Alex and Saber in the chat. I could definitely see the Green Bay offense revolving around Kraft some more. They've always kind of had that wide receiver to like just archetype built in, and no one's taken the command for the wide receiver one. So it could be Kraft this year. I could see that. I like that as another option. Obviously, you guys know I would rather just earlier in round, like early round 5, mid round 4, late round 4, wherever Kittle's going. I'm happy to take Kittle over a guy like Laporta. I'm okay with that selection. Or if I miss out on Kittle, I'm punting. I'm just going all the way. Like I'll go with an Evan Ingram, a David Njoku in rounds 7, 8. I would rather take those guys or even punt farther and just play tight end roulette. Like I have no problem with it this season. There's a ton of high upside guys out there that I would just rather play that game than miss out on a round 5 running back or wide receiver to take a guy like Sam Laporta, who you're stuck with him. Like you spent a round 5 pick on him. You're not gonna bench him for someone that you're picking up off the waiver wire. And if you are, then why would you even take him at round 5 in the first place? So that's my first one here. Is Sam Laporta. Going to go up a little bit higher in the draft, and I'm going for a round 3 running back right now. He's coming off the board as running back 14. It's James Cook. I talked about him the other day, and I think that it was I honestly I didn't even really know his ADP at the time, I guess, because it's just I feel like Cook is still has the ability to be good, but ultimately what he did last season was 100% touchdown based. He scored 18 total touchdowns. That's a huge number. That's insane. I don't see that repeating. I don't. I think that there's going to be more of a balance in the offense this season in terms of rushing and receiving touchdowns. And while Cook can also score receiving touchdowns, I just think that we're going to see it be a little bit more spread. We're going to see maybe some Kincaid, maybe some Coleman, some Palmer, some Shakir might get some more touchdowns. And I think Josh Allen is going to get back into running the ball in more in the red zone, in the 10 zone, on the goal line. I think it's going to be a little bit more. I still have in my own personal projections, I have James Cook right around 11 touchdowns. So even if I go on a little bit more of like a higher whatever and give him 12 touchdowns, there's just not much change there. Like in my projections, he's got about the same amount of carries, same amount of receptions, same yardage, but the TDs are really what boosted him up. And that's what I just don't see being repeatable. So I think that he's going from 18 touchdowns. I think even 11 touchdowns is a good season, but where he's being drafted right now is the RB 14 is just, it's crazy. It's like right now with those projections, I said he's at 14 fantasy points per game with 11 touchdowns, like a little bit more yardage, a little bit more receptions than last season is what I have projected. But just the lack of touchdowns has him down to 14 fantasy points per game. And that was running back 21 last season. But you're having to take him at running back 14. Like he is so far beyond being drafted at a ceiling that I cannot. Saber, I see Cook might be holding out too because he's chasing a Barkley contract. He did come back. He reported for camp. So unless he turns to a hold in here, I think he's just going to kind of play it out. As Alex said, he doesn't really have much leverage here. And I don't see the team paying him right now. They got the Josh Allen super contract on their books, and I don't see them paying up for James Cook when they have Ray Davis behind him, who isn't bad depth. He's not the James Cook caliber type player. He's not that type of guy, but he's solid depth that can be a good fill-in. I see here Saber following up, Cook equals Terry McLaurin as a running back. Exactly. It's why I'm off Terry McLaurin. It's why I'm off James Cook. That the touchdown regression is real. We know it's in his range of outcomes, but it just doesn't seem feasible. It's not what I want. I would rather, there's guys behind him. Here's the running backs behind him that I would rather take. Kenneth Walker. Love Kenneth Walker this season. Alvin Kamara, Omarion Hampton, and I'd even go so far as to say I would rather take the value on Chuba Hubbard this season than pay up for James Cook. I think they could finish very close to each other. I think Chuba could even outscore James Cook this year. And I don't I can wait a full round, a round and a half, 2 rounds to draft these guys instead of having to take James Cook in the 3rd round. It blows my mind that we're riding the crazy high of the 18 touchdowns last season and not thinking about what happens if he doesn't score 18 this year. So James Cook is my second do not draft, not touching him in redraft. Don't want anything to do with it. I think you're going to be very disappointed this year if you do. Alex with the stat right there. He is the only running back ever to score 18 touchdowns and finish outside the top 10 running backs. He's not the focal point of the offense. He got lucky. He had a great season, and it still wasn't enough. Josh Allen is that offense. Josh Allen is the fantasy focal point of that offense. And if you have to pay a 3rd round draft pick on a guy that isn't the focal point of his offense, I don't want it. I want nothing to do with it at the running back position right now. So we got Sam Laporta number 1, James Cook number 2. Like I said, I'm keeping everything in the top 5 rounds here. I'm not trying to give you no softball toss. I'm coming at you with the heat. I'm saying these guys, don't touch them in your early rounds. You will be sorry about it. Last guy that I got, another 5th round guy. It's going to be at the wide receiver position this time. Touched a little bit of everything, running back, tight end, and now wide receiver. Zay Flowers going off the board at wide receiver 25 in the 5th round. He is the almost opposite argument that I have, where I've been saying there's touchdown regression coming for James Cook. There's we saw it with Sam Laporta where the regression hit and it really affected his fantasy points per game. Zay Flowers last season, in a year where Lamar Jackson had a 9% touchdown rate through 41 touchdowns, he had 4 touchdowns. That's it. Insanity that 41 passing touchdowns from Lamar Jackson, and Zay Flowers was only able to catch 4, and he played all 17 games. There wasn't he might have left early in 1 or 2 of them, but he was there for 17 games and he only caught 4. And now we have he had the opportunity last year. He had Mark Andrews dealing with the injury early last season. No one was really there stepping up in terms of the red zone target, and he couldn't get any red zone targets. He had 8 red zone targets all season. That's an insane stat for the wide receiver 1 of a team. That just I can't. And it's not like anything's really changed. Mark Andrews is fully healthy now. Derrick Henry within the 10. Lamar Jackson within the 10. There's just so many other places for them to go that Zay Flowers isn't a touchdown factor. And that's why I can't draft him. I don't see Lamar Jackson repeating 41 touchdowns. I love Lamar Jackson, but 41 touchdowns was out of this world. He was out of his mind last season throwing 41 touchdowns. And he's going to come back down to earth with that. He could still be in the 30 touchdown range. I would love him to be there. He's going to absolutely smash once again in fantasy football doing that. But I don't think it's going to be on the back of Zay Flowers touchdowns. We know, like I said, Mark Andrews, big red zone target. DeAndre Hopkins, now a Raven, big bodied red zone target. There's just, like I said, 8 targets last season in the red zone. There's just, I don't see him taking a crazy jump in that stat. I think he is a good PPR floor type player, but in round 5, there's tons of guys that have a PPR floor, but also give me ceiling. And that's more who I'm looking to take. Guys that I would look to take in the Zay Flowers range, I would rather take Devonta Smith, Jameson Williams, Travis Hunter. Those three guys are all going either just before or just after. Alex, I see you take McMillan instead for Carolina. Absolutely. I think it was Andrew Erickson had a post this morning on X about it of this cluster of like the round 5 and 6 cluster of wide receivers, and Zay Flowers is at the top of that list, and I would rather have everybody else below, like the Jamesons, the McMillans, the T-Macs, just all those guys I would much rather have and take a running back in this pick 50 to 60 range. I would rather take a running back there instead of a Zay Flowers and then grab a guy like T-Mac later. I don't think Zay Flowers deserves to be at the top of the tier right now. Going into a little bit more of the stats, he hasn't posted over 13 fantasy points per game in his 2 seasons yet. He came close. He was at like 12.8, 12.7, 12.9 in that range in full PPR. Right now, my projections, I do have him boosted up a little bit. I do have him getting, I think, to 6 touchdowns in my own projections, a little bit more yardage. I think he's still going to be heavily targeted, so I think he's a safe play. But I still got him at 13.4 fantasy points per game, and that would have been wide receiver 28 last season. So you're taking him at wide receiver 25, which is another guy. You're taking him at or above his ceiling, and I don't see it. I don't see that being a path to you winning a championship. I don't see the upside for you to take this guy in round 5. Like I said, there's guys that have a very similar floor, but they just have so much more upside. They're on offenses that run through the air, and he doesn't need to score 20 touchdowns to pay off. Everyone's kind of fooled because of the fact that, yes, he played 17 games. His best ability was availability. So he finished as the wide receiver 25 overall in terms of fantasy points. Awesome, great. But he didn't help you win weeks. He was very just steady Eddie, those 12 fantasy points per game, 12 fantasy points per game, 12 fantasy points per game. And it's just, it's nice, but that's what I'm looking for out of like a 7th, 8th, 9th round pick, where I'm taking a guy like a Josh Palmer, a guy that I know is locked in as a 2 on the team, but I'm not expecting a big ceiling. When you're taking a guy in the 5th round at wide receiver 25, you're expecting ceiling. You're expecting him to make a push for the top 24 wide receivers, a top 15 wide receiver. And Zay Flowers just he's not speaking to me this year. I don't see it. I see you guys. Yeah. Get your stud running backs in the first 3 rounds and then hammer wide receiver. Very much been doing that. I like to get a wide receiver in, like, if I'm in the mid to late 1st round, I like to snag one of those guys like the Nico Collins, the Puka, Amon-Ra St. Brown. If I'm in that range, I like to grab one of those guys and then take like an Achane, a Jonathan Taylor, any of those like early 2nd round running backs I really like too. Or if even like, if I'm not sure where he's going to be going in home leagues this year, but Ashton Janty, love taking him. If I'm at like the back end of round 1 where I'm able to get like a Nico and then a Janty, like that's my dream start right there. And then, yeah, usually round 3, I'm still looking for another running back, but then rounds 4 through 7, the wide receivers are they're too good. Like I have zero problem going robust running back early and then just hammering these wide receivers. And there's upside guys there too that you sprinkle in. Why take Palmer when you can take Josh Reynolds for free instead? I love Justin Fields, but let's calm down on the Josh Reynolds hype. Jimmy, I see you. I took Cook in my Allen Shakir stack, and it felt good. I mean, I guess you're locking in the touchdowns in Buffalo, but not really what I'm looking to do there. I think that if you're going with Allen, you're kind of just, you can take him with Cook to lock in all of the Buffalo touchdowns, hoping for another 18 touchdown year, but it's just not it's not a pick where I feel happy. Saber, I see you. Easiest free click in the last round is my boy Woody Marks. The Woody Marks steam is picking up. Everyone's kind of talking about it. Nick Chubb, obviously older and dealing with 3 knee surgeries. So I love that. I love Marks kind of getting steamed up right now. He's someone that, as this Mixon saga continues, he's someone that is going to do nothing but gain steam here. Yeah, Alex, he might not be in the last round for long. The steam is real. He is rising. But that, guys, concludes my do not draft list. Just to give you the brief recap: Sam Laporta, James Cook, Zay Flowers. They're either gonna regress in touchdowns, or I just don't see them. All these guys, I just don't see them scoring the touchdowns that put them in the tier that they're in right now. They're either at the top. They're at the top of a tier, or just in a tier in general that they don't belong in my opinion. And I gave everyone some options to take around them. You guys provided me a ton of options. If anyone else has any options out after listening to this, find me on X at @JOwens_FF. Let me know there. I'll go ahead and recap it, bring it back up on Tuesday. Leave a comment on this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed the list. And be sure to follow me on X at @JOwens_FF. Like I said, follow the Player Profiler Now page on YouTube right here where you're watching this. Follow them on X too, so you can keep up with everything on a daily basis there. Really had a lot of fun putting this list together. I got to tell you, there were some guys out there that I thought about putting on the list until I started digging in deeper last night. And I completely flipped on some of these guys where I was going to say, oh, they don't belong where they are. And then I'm like, maybe the number 1 guy, Jaylen Warren. I'll talk about him more on Tuesday, but Jaylen Warren is a guy that I thought was being overdrafted. And I thought that Caleb Johnson, no matter what, was going to make him irrelevant this year. But after looking at my projections, kind of reworking some of the things and seeing the what if scenarios, I think that Jaylen Warren is actually a huge value. Like I said, I'm going to dive into that on next week, either Tuesday or Thursday, depending on how much news. Some other guys for you, Alex, so you can know how crazy I was feeling. Devonta Smith, who I completely flip-flopped after digging into the data, where I didn't like him or Zay Flowers, but after looking at it, I was like, oh, he's a much better pick than Zay Flowers in that same exact spot. And DJ Moore was another guy where I just felt like where he's going, there were better options. But as I looked at it a little bit closer, I think the upside of DJ Moore is too much to put him on a do not draft list. He's someone that if he falls to the bottom, if he slips a little bit, he becomes a huge value. So he's not someone that I'm excited to take at ADP, but if he slips a little bit, I'll smash that button all day on DJ Moore. Thank you guys so much for joining me this week on Tuesday and Thursday. I'll be back again next week. Same time, same place, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to jump into some rabbit drafts. They opened up the $10 draft. Use my code on Fast Draft, JOwensFF, for a $50 deposit match. Get drafting. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.